So over the last 8 years, I've realised running several businesses, obviously as you know my story, I owned a estate agency, obviously sold it, and today I consult people all over the world running an Airbnb, short-term rental businesses. One of the things I've realised, especially around making profit, and it could be in my business too, let's say work with a bigger client and I know that, there's a certain type of profit I'm going to make them. I personally have a service fee that I quote them. Now, sometimes I completely forget that's a massive potential for me to use them as a case study to a bigger opportunity, and that's what I did with my first ever clients. I've worked with 4 property millionaires at the moment, Airbnb property millionaires, who's created business out of nowhere, and today they turn over £1 million, and we've physically worked in their account. We're the one who's done all their marketing and branding and actually taken them to next level. And in that, I realised that I've based my decision on not making profit, but actually taking the potential of working on an account like that. Now, if I was driven by making profit, I would probably, because the amount of return I've made in their business, I would have charged them, 10x the money, because I genuinely brought a lot of value to their business in returns of revenue. However, in my case, in my first few one, I was like, no, actually, I want to work in that £1 million account. I want to take that £1 million into £2 million, and I want to do certain things in their business that they're not doing, and never focused on profit. And today I sit down here going, well, actually, that was a great idea that I've taken into my business, where I just think, well, profit shouldn't beat my potential, and secondly, I should move on to the next deal. Now, the reason why I share this, you as an Airbnb operator, I want to think about a longer term booking scenario, and I want to sit down, and hopefully by the end of this video, you're going to sit down going, well, this is profit, this is potential, these are the types of booking I'm getting, these are the types of booking I'm not getting. Where do I go about actually enhancing and admiring that potential of the deal? Or do you go actually, no, I'm going to stick to what profit I'm going to make, and that doesn't matter how you do it. Or sometimes you end up losing because you're not focusing on that a lot more. So scenario here, when because I speak to a lot of daily with a lot of operators, and I sit down, and one thing I'd look at is going, well, what are the profit they've made over the last few months? If you're really looking to work with GrowYourBnb and kind of scale their business and grow their brand, I want to really understand what profit they've already made, so that we can then help them either grow their brand or actually start straight away making maybe even grow their profit. So a lot of time, averagely, when I think about an operator, they don't really understand profit. They just go, Piers, this is the nightly rate I charge. Now, a nightly rate is a market indication. It doesn't mean that's the profit you're going to make. Now, times it by whatever days you're going to have occupied. Let's say you run on a 70% occupancy rate. Is that nightly rate going to cover all the cost of your rent, if you're doing rental arbitrage, or your mortgages, your fixed expenses like your bills and all that kind of stuff, plus a housekeeping team? Because one of the things I've always said in this video is, it doesn't matter what revenue you make, but if you're paying £60 a pop on a clean, times by 10 cleans, because you've got 10 guests, that's £600 off your revenue gone back into your expenses. So you're not really making any money. And then you think about the net that you're going to make, you might end up just making £450 but make a heavy revenue. Whereas I normally look at this way. Firstly, what's your break-even number? That's exactly what we need to know, to the pennies, by the way. If you're going to run an Airbnb business, you want to know what your break-even number is to the penny. Right, the second thing you want to know is your variable expenses, because that varies depending on where you get your booking from. In GrowYourBnb, we are very, very fortunate. We get people a lot of direct bookings. As a result of that, they save that 18% or 15% commission on OTAs like Airbnb and Booking.com. Eventually, you need to now understand profit. Profit depends on months, right? You can think about Jan, Feb, March. If you're not in a seasonal area, you're going to end up, the supply is going to go down, the demand's going to go down as well. And all of a sudden, who are you attracting? What's the potential guests you're trying to attract? So you've got to really think about, this is where you've got to think about profit, right? Are you happy making £650 net profit? But actually think about what's the next plan for your business if you are going to be occupied for a full month, 30 days booking? Or do you want to focus on the potential of losing that profit, but then hopefully you've got a strategy to get yourself that bigger booking, which probably is going to make you double the profit. So you have to understand exactly what month you are, what is your potential, and what profit you can make into the business. I've learned one thing is, look, move on to the next deal, understand it, make profit. Whatever you've got at the moment, make it. Doesn't matter if it's high or low, make that profit, move on to the next deal. Well, listen, I'm going to show you a profit versus potential opportunity here. So this is one of our clients' recent booking where he says, hi there, I've got a job starting in Hemel Hempstead and just wondering about a long-term bookings and prices. Would you be able to take this on a 6-month let? Now, firstly, you look about the potential of the property. The potential is there is a 6 months potential on the actual property. Now, bearing in mind, my client has never had this kind of inquiry. Secondly, they've actually hardly made any profit in the last 2 months and are about to give up the unit. So, right, now if I think about the potential, if I show you the booking itself, it wasn't a lot. It was 4 guests for 7 nights. We worked an algorithm where we said if it's 7 nights, it was £672.40 that was paid to them via Airbnb. Now, if I break that down, you will see in a minute that guest actually paid £735 to Airbnb, plus the £85, which is the cleaning fee. So, that it's £820 that was paid. However, because of the Airbnb commission, my client actually had a minus 147, which was paid to Airbnb. Now, if you think about from a potential perspective, I said to them, we have to accept that booking on what, it's only 670 whatever pound that is, because there's a potential to make 6 months booking. What is the difference behind this is you've got to take that potential now and not think about profit for that week to be able to make profit long term. My client was like, Piers, actually, we might not want to take this, too cheap. But I was like, well, actually, if they book with you first week, they might potentially extend with you on a direct booking basis where they're paid £800 and something, £820 to Airbnb. So the discount you should be giving is, let's just give £800, offer £800 to the guest. They're more likely to take that, and actually you will start making more potential and profit out of this. So guys, you can see an example scenario that I normally take with every single potential inquiry and booking we get into our client's account. And as a result of that, this is why our clients think differently. This is why our clients think differently in calendar management and eventually make you more profit. All in all, I want to show you the main twist here. They didn't get that booking. They ended up actually losing that 6 months lead. Why? And I'll show you an example here. So here you go. When you think about profit versus potential, we choose the potential and we accepted, not based on loss, but actually quite a low 90 rate. The potential was to get 6 months, but actually once the customer actually stayed in the property, the property was way too far from where they were meant to work. So they were actually an hour away. So all of a sudden, I'm thinking here going, wow, my client genuinely had their ranking on top of the page on a weekly basis for that result. They were being booked, right? The guest who's booked them is purely based on their ranking being on top of the listing. So that's a great news for my client. Secondly, didn't work out because they stayed in the property, loved the property, but they traveled on a Monday to where they were meant to work, and they said it was taking them a lot of time and they needed something more closer. And yeah, as a result, we lost the potential, but we also lost the profit. Now, that is a great learning in Airbnb. We don't mind sharing you this kind of stuff because at the end of the day, you can see how, profit, potential, and eventually losing business. We don't feel afraid of this because we know we've got ranking well, we've got other opportunity we're going to get this client leads, but eventually I wanted you guys to understand regarding profit and potential in your Airbnb and short-term renter business. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this another Grow Your BnB video, thinking a little bit different around your short-term rental and Airbnb business, and eventually, making more profit. So please, if you're not, hit subscribe. Please make sure you're hitting that like and subscribe button, and we will be back with another video soon.